Alright, so this is a long reaction. Pray to God that my microphone doesn't fucking cut out this time during this long reaction. I've been running into some issues lately where I will have a really, really long reaction recorded, and then at some point in the middle of that recording, OBS just stops picking up my microphone for some fucking reason. One reason or another, OBS just stops. I don't know why the fuck OBS does it. It's happened on 3 separate reactions now. I've been running all sorts of troubleshooting behind the scenes. I've uninstalled and reinstalled OBS and tried to preserve all the scenes that I have saved for it. Hopefully this is good enough. Hopefully that I am able to actually get a fucking reaction in now. I don't know, man. Hopefully everything is fucking good. I've done all kinds of testing. And, just pray to God that I don't fucking run into this issue or continue to run into this issue, because that would be really frustrating, especially considering that I have other stuff to do in the day, and after I record a reaction just to find out that everything I recorded was for nothing is kind of frustrating. OBS, get your shit together. Anyways, if you guys have been tuning into the channel for a long time, you would know that Jesse Butler is somebody we have covered on the channel quite a bit. We actually have 3 different videos. We reacted to 2 Law and Crime Network videos on this guy, and I think Moist Critical did one update on him that we watched, and now we're watching another Law and Crime Network video on him. I am a little bit late on this update. It's a couple of days old at this point. I think it's actually maybe like a week and a half old, actually. But I still wanted to cover it for the channel because I do think it's important to talk about. If you guys haven't seen all of my reactions to Jesse Butler, every single one of them, there's 3 videos I have so far of him, apart from this one, that will be linked in the description below. But in Stillwater, Oklahoma, there's this guy named Jesse Butler. He is a part of the sports team at Stillwater, Oklahoma, in a high school. He had raped several girls, absolutely, like, he violently raped them. It's basically confirmed that he did. And he was on track to going to jail, but because of how fucked up and how corrupt the legal system is, and in Stillwater, Oklahoma especially, he got away with it. He is a free man. He is able to get a slap on the wrist. They gave him some rehabilitation plan, which was a fucking joke. And you know damn well that this guy is going to rape again, absolutely, because he got away with it this time. He's absolutely, at some point down the line, going to reoffend and rape more girls. Yeah, it's just another example of people getting away with rape, especially in today's climate, today's political climate. We have a rapist pedophile in office that people really love for some reason and still defend even after knowing he's a rapist pedophile. Anyways, we're going to take a look at this update. Apparently, there's a big legal win that he got. I probably am not going to enjoy watching this, but it's still important to talk about nonetheless.
Jesse Butler, the Oklahoma teen who pleaded no contest to horrific rape charges involving 2 ex-girlfriends at his high school, is officially a free man. His story spread like wildfire last year when the public learned that Butler was granted youthful offender status, meaning his punishment was slashed from decades in prison to months on probation.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if this was somebody way back in who knows how long, who knows what would have happened to this guy if he was under different circumstances. If the judge wasn't fucking corrupt. Susan Worthington is an absolute worthless judge. She was also, Jesse Butler is not the only predator that Susan Worthington was allowing to get away from crimes. Apparently, Susan Worthington is responsible for more than one predator walking free on the streets. And all of this just because Stillwater, Oklahoma has a massive corruption ring. That is not me going on a conspiracy theory. I have several videos going into in-depth as to how that corruption ring stems. It's pretty clear to me that there's a lot of people behind how corrupt Stillwater, Oklahoma truly is. And hopefully more people talk about it so that some change happens. I don't expect any change to happen anytime soon. Again, we have a rapist pedophile as the president of the United States, so there's absolutely no way he's going to do anything about it. But maybe at some point change will happen once Trump inevitably stops being president.
But now, as he finished up his so-called sweetheart sentence, a newly elected district attorney is vowing to keep pursuing justice for Butler's victims. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. This story is outrageous in the most frustrating of ways. As of midnight last night, now 19-year-old Jesse Butler of Stillwater, Oklahoma, has been discharged from court-ordered supervision, a punishment he received after entering a no-contest plea to rape and assault charges.
Yeah, it's frustrating, man. It's so upsetting that so many people fucking failed this case. It's so frustrating, man. The parents obviously failed Jesse Butler because there's absolutely no way you would be a violent rapist piece of shit if you, no person with good parents would ever allow their child to be a violent rapist piece of shit. And that's just a fact. I don't know what else to tell you. Jesse Butler obviously does not have good parents. He has parents that spoil the shit out of him. Even when Jesse Butler was getting taken away by the police, you can see in the body cam footage that the mother was coddling the son. The mother was like, it's okay. It's okay. I know you raped a ton of girls, but it's okay. It's okay, Jesse. It's totally fine. Listen, I know you're a violent rapist piece of shit, but it's okay. She was, coddling the fuck out of him.
Then having his case granted youthful offender status. August 4th marks his 19th birthday. And that meant, instead of spending decades behind bars, he received probation, which included counseling, community service, and a $3,300 restitution payment. If he failed, he could have faced a 10-year sentence in prison. But during a court hearing on Monday in Payne County, Oklahoma, officials confirmed that he was being discharged with supervision. According to News 9 in Oklahoma, Butler's attorney says the next step is to file a motion seeking dismissal of the case and expungement of the record.
Oh my god. I fucking forgot how really fucked up this story gets. I knew it was a fucked up story, but I totally forgot just truly how deep this story ran, because it involves a whole bureaucracy that is just in Jesse's favor somehow. It's all too convenient.
I mean, again, we are talking about a no contest plea to rape charges. And I'll be speaking in a moment with content creator Justin Shepard, host of Justin the Nick of Crime. You've probably seen him on social media. He really helped rocket this.
Oh yeah, this guy, I think we watched this guy in the first Jesse Butler video. He was heavily trying to cover this case and try to spread awareness about it. And honestly, I hope that that's all we can do, really. Hopefully, because the legal system is not doing anything, hopefully socially Jesse's life is completely ruined. I hope that's the case. I hope people see Jesse for the truly horrific person that he really is, and I hope no one ever wants to associate with him for as long as he lives. Honestly. This is at this point we have to set a standard. We have to understand that Jesse Butler ideally would have been in jail on the sex offender registry permanently. Ideally, that this is the kind of punishment that he would have deserved, honestly. And maybe even worse, which I can't say on YouTube. But, I don't know. Again, the best punishment we're going to get now, since the legal system failed us, is that maybe we could just ostracize Jesse Butler from everything. Don't give him opportunities. Don't let him make any friends. Let everybody realize the true person that he is, and then keep any women or anybody away from him, because he's obviously a threat to women. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're just at a point now where we have to set a fucking standard with violent rapists like Jesse Butler.
Story to the national stage. So we want to get his reaction to the latest news. And we're also going to be sitting down with the attorney representing one of the victims' families. And she is going to help break down what went down in court for Butler's final hearing. And just wait until you see what Butler's attorney apparently said in the courtroom. Now, ever since news of Butler's crimes started to spread, there's been outrage. And it's not just over the decision to classify Butler as a youthful offender, but that Butler could eventually have his record cleared.
Why the extra step? Why? Why clear his record entirely? Why go the extra mile, even though we know the kind of person he really is? Why?
And that it was possible that he could go on to commit more crimes, because the charges that he faced were so serious. Back in 2024, two of Butler's ex-girlfriends came forward alleging horrifying abuse. One teen, identified in court records as LS, says after getting ice cream, Butler drove her to a parking lot and tried to rape her in his car. According to an affidavit filed with the court, quote, LS reported she yelled and told him no repeatedly and tried to push him off of her, but was unable to overpower him. LS reported Butler told her he was sorry for what he was about to do, but he had to do it.
He had to do it? Dude, what the... Again, you don't do stuff like this if you have good parents. Obviously, Jesse Butler had no good parents, and this is gonna... Every time we talk about sexual assault culture on the channel, I always talk about how a lot of young men get their education from porn, and it's not good that you get your education from porn because the sex that you view in pornography is not like the sex in real life at all. It's nothing like that at all whatsoever. It's completely different. Unfortunately, this is the worst case scenario of it because not only is Jesse Butler somebody who clearly is porn-brained, but he's also somebody who is doing it with malicious intent because he's making all these justifications of, I'm sorry for what I'm about to do to you. You still did it. You're still a predator. You're still predatory.
But then when he took her back to her own car, he allegedly warned, quote, "You're not going until I'm finished." It's terrifying. The other girl, who's identified in court records as KS, says Butler assaulted her too. In the affidavit related to her case, an investigator detailed what she said happened when she was house sitting for a family friend. Quote, Butler expressed a desire to have sexual intercourse with her at the house.
I remember this very briefly from the first video. Wasn't this in regards to, like, was it either Jesse Butler's mom or somebody else's parent who heard what was happening but just didn't care? They, like, heard it, like, very briefly and then they, like, disregarded it or whatever and they said everything was fine even though it wasn't?
KS reported she did not want to do anything at the house. Butler became angry, came up behind her, put his arm around her neck, and strangled to unconsciousness. She could not breathe, scratched at his arms, and tried to get away, but could not free herself. KS woke up on the floor of the living room after losing consciousness. KS reported there were red marks across her neck after Butler strangled her. Approximately 15 minutes after strangling her, Butler initiated sexual intercourse with her.
Jesse Butler really is the real-life version of Bryce from 13 Reasons Why. I don't know if you guys have seen the show 13 Reasons Why, but Bryce is truly a horrific rapist character who is a sports jock and everything, and he does what sports jocks do. He's overloaded with testosterone, and he decides to engage violently towards women. And Jesse Butler himself proceeds to engage violently with women.
KS also claimed that Butler had
also a sports jock. I should have made that clear.
Recorded himself choking her, and police have said they later found those images on his phone. Both girls reported him to their school in September 2024. One got an emergency protective order, but she and her family claimed that Butler violated it. He would end up facing a violation of protection order charge alongside his other serious felony charges. Arrest warrants were issued in January and February of 2025, but they weren't executed for weeks. Butler was finally arrested, though, on March 4th. And we have the body cam footage from that day, which shows the moment detectives arrived at his home.
Hello, are you Jackie?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Jackie. I'm Detective Bruce with the Stillwater Police Department. We're here because we have a warrant for Jesse's arrest. I assume you know that already. Okay, is he here?
Yes.
Okay.
I told him not to answer the door till I got home. He's scared to death, so.
So here's.
Oh no, a fucking violent rapist is scared to death? Good, he should be. How do you think the women felt? The women that he raped? How do you think they felt? You know, when they were being strangled, when they were trying to escape being raped, and they knew that it was coming, and they still got raped in the end? Like, how do you think they felt?
What's gonna happen? Like,
this whole sympathy for a rapist thing is really not fazing me at all.
we're gonna take him into custody. His bond is $25,000.
Okay.
Once he gets to the jail,
$25,000 bond is such a joke, especially when you take into account Jesse Butler's parents are rich. They live in a very nice home. They are rich, and they're very connected with the system that can easily free him, and their connections can free them. $25,000 to these fucking people is nothing. They can get that kind of money with the connections they have easily.
we get him booked in.
They may not even have to pay that money with the connections they have. That's how truly deep this goes. Again, there's a whole corruption ring at Stillwater, Oklahoma that these people are tied to.
well, I guess on the way to the jail, I guess you could contact a bondsman.
Yeah.
Or I mean, if you have 25 grand lying around, you can do that. But if you contact a bondsman, then they can post his bond and he can get right out today.
Okay.
So, and
Like,
during...
what kind of time frame does that look like, just out of curiosity? Like, midnight tonight or
No,
an hour?
Like, you can contact a bondsman and it would be like an hour and a half or something.
Candy Baker, I'm sure y'all know
Yeah.
Candy.
Ah, yes, of course, I told you. Yep. Hey, guys, I got that connection. You know, I know the Candy Baker. Who the fuck is Candy Baker? Is that their name? What is their name? Candy Baker? Something Baker?
Like, you can contact a bondsman and it would be like an hour and a half or something.
Candy Baker, I'm sure
Candy Baker or Candy Baker? What? Who?
y'all know
Yeah.
Candy.
So-
She's the one that told me.
Oh, Andy Baker? Huh? Oh, Candy Baker. Okay. Oh, yeah, there's her LinkedIn profile as well. Yeah, she's a bondsman. I guess she's the bondsman at Stillwater, Oklahoma. It says Stillwater, Oklahoma here on her X, so... Okay. Yeah, interesting, I guess.
It's a pretty quick process.
Okay.
We just like have to get him booked in,
Okay.
and then once he's booked in,
Okay.
And just so you know, he is a juvenile, so he won't be like with any adults. Like
Yeah.
he can't be housed
Okay.
with any adults.
Okay.
So there is a chance that he may be moved over to Payne County, but for right now, depending on how long it takes you to get with her and get the
Yeah.
bond
I'll
set
call
up,
her right back, so.
then he'll probably just be at our facility at the
Okay.
city of Stillwater.
Okay.
And she can
Whose
come over
call
there.
is that?
Yeah, and again, Stillwater, Oklahoma, there's a lot of, from what I hear, and I've never been at Stillwater, Oklahoma, so if anyone actually has been at Stillwater, Oklahoma, you may or may not be able to confirm this, but Stillwater, Oklahoma is very, it's very small town energy of America. And so, in a lot of small towns, it's very common for a lot of small towns in America to be dependent on a singular piece of infrastructure to fund the entire town, basically, kind of. It could range from a factory, it could range from a university, a school. In Stillwater, Oklahoma's case, I believe OSU is that piece of infrastructure. And I believe one of Jesse's parents works at Oklahoma State University, OSU. So they're able to get all kinds of connections because of the money that they have. That's why this corruption ring runs so deep, and that's why this Jesse Butler case in general runs so fucking deep, and that people should be talking about it more.
It just, like, we can only hold him for 6 hours.
Oh, okay, so if I get it done now,
Yeah.
we're good.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be moved.
No.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, he shouldn't be. The only big holdup is if we have somebody else in the jail, because we can't have them intermingle. Like if they're booking somebody in, it could hold us up like maybe 15, 20 minutes,
Yeah.
something like that. But it's not going to be a long
Okay.
thing generally.
We're ready to obviously tell our story too.
Yeah.
Jess, it's Mom.
I wonder how that's gonna go. Because this is old body cam footage, so how did that go for her? I don't think we've tuned into this case for ages. Did she ever say anything about it publicly?
The door.
Maybe they'll bring it up.
Give me your wallet and phone and stuff. So, okay. Your what?
They're in the car.
Well, okay, it's fine. It's not locked or anything, is it? Okay. So, can you tell him what you just told me, or?
Yeah, so we're here. We're obviously going to place you under arrest. There's a warrant for your arrest. We're going to take you to the jail. I told your mom that she can contact a bondsman, and you shouldn't be there.
Guys, it's okay. It's okay, guys. Guys, it's okay, Jesse. I know you raped a bunch of women, and you violently raped them, and you were making them unconscious, and you were violent with them, you were hurting them, and you've probably given them lifelong trauma, but it's okay, Jesse. It's okay. We know you're the devil, and we know that we raised you poorly, but it's okay. It's okay. We failed you in every way imaginable. It's okay, Jesse. It's okay. You can get whatever you want. Even if you want to rape girls violently, you can get whatever you want, Jesse.
They're very long, but there just is a process for paperwork and stuff. But right now you do have to come with us, and I do have to put you in handcuffs, so turn around for me.
You have to put in handcuffs?
I have a very curious question. Who do you guys think that Jesse's parents voted for? Because I certainly don't think that Jesse's parents would vote Democrat. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't think they would be Democratic voters. I don't know. It's a very curious pattern we've seen from a lot of people who vote for Trump, and them being either okay with predators, them straight up being predators, or them being enabling predators to some extent. There's way too many patterns. It's all too convenient. I don't know.
Somebody in custody.
You know we're doing this. It's okay.
I don't know. I've seen way too many instances of right-wing people being okay with predatory behavior or having predatory people in their orbit. Asmongold.
Yeah.
I'll get you out for me. All right, stay silent. Rick knows about this. Candy's on this. Dad's on his way. We're coming to get you, okay? Just stay strong, okay? Say your prayers.
Okay, so he's going to go right to the city of Stillwater jail, and if you'll just contact her, then she does this all the time. She knows what to do.
Yep.
Make sure
Okay.
she knows Stillwater Police Department, not county.
Yeah.
Stillwater Police Department
We're the
on
ones.
Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them know that
perfect.
we're the ones that picked him up.
And
They
when
don't-
you say we are the
Stillwater PD.
Stillwater PD.
Walk of shame, buddy.
Yeah.
Do the walk of shame, Jesse.
That way they don't.
Even if it's short-lived and you wind up getting away with it regardless.
He went like straight over and he's over at the county.
All of this just to have him get away with it in the end. It's really infuriating.
Awful experience for a child.
Are you gonna pass the people? Yeah.
Also, I don't know what she said. She said a lot to experience for a child? What?
Awful experience for a child.
A lot to experience for a child? Who cares? Who gives a fuck? He's a fucking rapist. I don't care if he's 18 years... Like, I don't care if he was 17 when he committed the crime. Normally, I don't put a lot of agency on people if they're under 18 when they do stupid things. Being a rapist is one of the very few things that I will put a lot of autonomy over a 17 over. I don't care. That's one of the very few things. 17 is old enough to know not to rape people. I was a 17-year-old once upon a time. I knew it was wrong to rape somebody at 17 because I was properly educated on these kinds of things. Being 17 years old and being 18 years old is one of the very few... Like, this is one of the very few things you should be educated on against. They should teach sex education in every high school. Jesse Butler should have paid attention in sex education. Unless, of course, the parents didn't care about that, obviously. Which they obviously didn't. Like, Jesse Butler is obviously a very spoiled rich kid. And they basically raised him to be a spoiled kid. And gave him whatever he wants. Like, Jesse Butler was one of the kids that couldn't be told no as a kid. So, imagine how that translates in the fucking bedroom. I don't know. Just something to think about.
Are you gonna pass the people? Yeah. Make that short. You gonna pat you down and spread your feet for me? Nothing on your side.
Love Jess. See you in a bit.
According to reporting from 2 News Oklahoma, the judge said Butler completed the terms of his program with 0 violations. But the hearing apparently took a strange turn this week when Butler's attorney asked to speak. Now, in Oklahoma, cameras are not allowed in the courtroom, but according to reports from
That's unfortunate.
multiple local media outlets, tensions rose when Butler's attorney asked to make a statement. He reportedly talked about his client's innocence and suggested that his client was the real victim in all of this.
Wow.
Not-
Guys, we need to feel bad for the person who violently raped multiple girls. We need to have sympathy for these people. Like, learn what it does to their psyche. I don't care. I don't fucking care. If my daughter was if I had a daughter that was a victim of Jesse Butler, I would want to violently... I don't care what anyone says. I would want to violently beat the shit out of Jesse Butler and bludgeon him with a melee weapon or something. I don't fucking care. I would... And also, if I ever found out that my kid, probably a guy, let's be honest, because it's more often than not that men are fucking rapists. If I ever found out that my kid turned out to be like Jesse Butler, I would also probably disown the fuck out of him, and I would probably feel like a failure of a parent that I never properly educated my kid on this fucking topic. I would violently beat the shit out of my kid if I found out that that was my kid. It's honestly, like, no. There's absolutely no way I would tolerate it in either direction.
The 2 young girls he assaulted. That apparently led to tears from the victims, as you can imagine.
Of course it would. Absolutely. It's such a horrific thing. It's like, hey, Jesse Butler's the real victim. We need to feel bad for Jesse Butler. It's such an inhumane thing to do. What a disgusting lawyer.
And
Like, it's one thing if a lawyer... I understand from a lawyer's POV, it's your job, even if you're a defendant of a truly horrific person, that you're just representing them. I understand that, but at the very least, you could plead guilty. That's like, have some fucking dignity. But because lawyers can be so fucking slimy, they'll do anything they can to play devil's advocate, even though it's morally reprehensible.
passionate response from the newly elected district attorney for Payne County named Jeremiah Gregory. He was in the gallery of the courtroom during the hearing, and here is the new DA's full statement. Quote, "Today was the final hearing in the matter of the criminal case against Jesse Mack Butler. Today's hearing included disingenuous assertions from the defense regarding the defendant's innocence, that he was the victim in this matter, and that the victim's assertions were false and had no bearing."
Wow. Oh my god. Guys, when Jesse Butler was not getting girls unconscious and choking them to death and was violent to them, putting his hands around their neck, he was putting them in positions where they were unable to consent whatsoever, and then he proceeded to do what he did. Wow. But no bearing. No bearing, no intention, no anything. Okay, dude.
The defense...
Fuck out of here. Only people that are okay with rape and probably pedophilia, let's be fucking honest, are okay with this. Only people that vote for Donald Trump are okay with a take like this. Let's be fucking real.
portrayed that...
Like I said, I'm very curious to know what the politics of Jesse Butler's parents are. I would love to know who they voted for. I'm pretty positive I know for a fact that they probably voted for Trump. They most likely did. I would not doubt it for a single second. But I would be very curious to get that confirmation. I would not be shocked in the least bit at all.
Somehow, the perpetrator suffered more than these victims. What was said was insincere, untruthful, and affront to these victims and what they had endured. Nothing has made my blood boil more. I did not know this was going to be allowed, nor did the defense attorney reveal he intended to make any kind of statement. The statements made in court were inappropriate to say the least, and I will not remain silent without contradicting such assertions. I have asked the court to allow me to supplement the record to refute these egregious statements made by the defense so that the victims of these crimes may be heard.
Good. I don't think it's going to do anything, sadly. I hate to be the bearer of bad news for Jeremiah Gregory, but it is good that he is at least making an attempt to try to push back against this. I can at least applaud that. I don't think it's going to do anything because the corruption ring in Stillwater, Oklahoma runs so fucking deep, but hopefully it's something. You have to at least try to fight back against this for any hope that he could be locked up, because we know damn well Jesse Butler, even if he's a free man, like, he's gonna be a free fucking man. We have to ostracize the fuck out of him from everything. Even if he gets to walk free, we have to spread awareness about how truly horrific of a person he really is. So, spread it everywhere, prevent him from getting any sort of fucking job whatsoever. Make sure that he doesn't get any scholarships. Anyone who was... And also, by the way, punish the people that were involved in getting Jesse Butler to walk free as well. Susan Worthington, that absolute... More like Susan Worthless. Like, genuinely. She is a worthless fucking judge. She should lose out on any pension deal that she has because she allowed Jesse Butler, and other predators, by the way. Again, Jesse Butler's not the only predator that she allowed to get away with this. But we should absolutely punish her as well for this as well, because she played a role in letting Jesse Butler get away with this. Everybody that failed the system and failed the survivors of Jesse Butler need to be held accountable as well.
This case was filed...
And hopefully people investigate the fucking corruption ring at Stillwater, Oklahoma as well. Hopefully people know about it. It's disgusting what people can get away with there. It's honestly crazy. Like, this just... Like, if anything, this just further sets the standard that you can be a fucking rapist and get away with it at Stillwater, Oklahoma. Just don't be a non-white person that does it, I guess. Because then that's when they'll care, probably. I imagine the politics of Stillwater, Oklahoma are generally going to be conservative. Yep, Republican. Leans moderately conservative overall, but it functions as a notable political outlier, frequently as a competitive or relatively progressive blue island, even though there are still generally more conservatives, as Oklahoma is generally a conservative state. Well, there you go. I mean, I guess that will answer... Considering Jesse Butler's parents are rich, I guess that answers who they voted for. To nobody's surprise, let's be fucking real.
Prosecuted, and the defendant was pled and sentenced a year ago, prior to my assuming office last Friday. I want the public to understand that in cases where a defendant either has pled or has been found guilty by a judge or jury, the United States Constitution says the defendant shall not be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. This is the double jeopard clause of our Constitution. So the government of the state of Oklahoma cannot prosecute a defendant a second time for the same offense after a defendant has already been convicted. Nor can the government of the state of Oklahoma hand out more than one criminal punishment for the same offense. The Constitution I was sworn to uphold unambiguously prohibits it. However, the federal government is a separate sovereign entity from the state of Oklahoma where double jeopardy has not attached. Therefore, my office will be submitting this case to the appropriate federal agency for prosecutorial review of this matter. I cannot undo what has already been done, but I can and will continue to stand as a strong voice for all victims of violent crime.
I mean, ultimately, that's good because Jeremiah seems to understand that this guy already got away with the crime. But what we can do is hopefully maybe this will open more people's eyes to show that the criminal justice system in Stillwater, Oklahoma is very favored towards predators. Let's be fucking real. Again, Judge Susan Worthington, worthless fucking human being, absolute disgusting. You would think Susan Worthington, as a woman, would understand what it's like to be predatorized, but she takes the side of the predator. And this is going to be a hot take, but I've always had the opinion, if a woman takes the side of a fucking predator, I actually think that's worse than if a man does it, to be honest with you. I actually see that as legitimately worse, and you're going to think that I'm applying a double standard here, but I'm going to explain to you. A woman should understand what it's like to be predatorized by men in society. Women should understand that fundamentally. But if a woman decides to betray themselves, let's be fucking real, it's a betrayal of yourself if you side with the predator, then it's worse, in my opinion, because you would expect women to at least be some safe space to talk about these issues. Not Susan Worthington, though.
This is not the only threat of federal action against Butler and others involved in the case. Last December, the family of LS filed a lawsuit in the Western District of Oklahoma against multiple parties, including the city of Stillwater, Independent School District number 16 of Payne County, Jesse Butler, and his parents, Jackie and Mac, and 2 school employees. We checked on that case. It appears to still be working its way through the courts. Multiple motions and briefs have been filed, but not much has happened on the docket since March of this year. The plaintiffs are seeking compensation in excess of $75,000. Joining us now to talk more about this, content creator Justin Shepard, host of Just in the Nick of Crime. You can find him at that handle on social media. Thank you for taking the time to be with us.
Yeah, I remember this guy. He was in the first video we reacted to, and he's been following the case extensively. It really is an infuriating watch to just see a violent predator go through all the legal systems, and the legal system still fucking fails all the women that were affected in this situation.
Been very outspoken on this case and really helped make it a national news story. I think for a lot of people who are hearing about it for the first time, there's just this question of how did this deal come together? Walk us through like how this came to be after Jesse Butler was charged.
So this really is kind of insane because if you look at what his charges were, you look at what he did, you look at the evidence that's supposedly on his phone, how he walked away with the youthful offender deal is really mind-boggling. You know, how he actually got this deal, it's all speculation at this point. You know, when you look online,
I am firmly a believer at this point. I think it is more likely than not it is a fucking corruption ring going on at Stillwater, Oklahoma, and that the people that are rapists happen to be part of families that are generally rich. And again, it's not a coincidence that Susan Worthington has been responsible for allowing more than one predator to go free. It's not a coincidence that that's the case.
And listen to the rhetoric and the discussion and discourse that's going on. You know, here's what I can tell you. This occurred in Stillwater, Oklahoma. His father, whose name is Mac Butler, used to be the former director of athletic operations for OSU in a small college
Yeah, oh, used to. Is he not working there anymore? I thought he was still working there.
football town.
Could have sworn that he was still working there. Maybe he retired, I guess. I don't know. Maybe because, like, it was an optics thing, and so he just retired, I guess. I don't know.
So a lot of people have connected the dots and said, well, and again, I'm not saying this definitively. I'm just giving kind of the discourse.
For legal reasons, he can't say definitively, by the way. I think that's just important to keep that in mind.
Of course, that, maybe it's well-connected family. There's some money at play.
Absolutely. I think that all of those things are true. Again, this guy, I believe this guy is like either an attorney or at least he follows the law closely, and because he's such a big voice on this topic, he's very careful about his wording on purpose just because he doesn't want to get like maybe a defamation lawsuit. Maybe that's what he's watching out for, so he's trying to be careful with his facts overall. Or he just wants to be careful with his facts in general, because if he says anything wrong about the coverage of it, then Jesse Butler's family could use that one instance of him potentially getting like a detail wrong as to be like, oh, look, this guy's not a credible source of information. He got one detail wrong, which means Jesse Butler has to be innocent because everything else is wrong. That's also probably why he's very careful on his wording, maybe.
In high school, and it's one of those typical stories we hear. We don't want to ruin a young man's career. So originally when he was first
who fucking cares? He's a rapist. What fucking career? That career is not worth it if he's a threat to women.
Charged, he was going to be charged as an adult, and then all of a sudden
he should be. Again, as a 17-year-old, well, once I was 17, I knew not to violently rape girls. I was properly educated on consent when I was 17 years old. Again, I understand that here's the thing, right? If you're a 17-year-old and you, I don't know, do graffiti on property that you're not supposed to, that's wrong and that's illegal. Let the law do its thing, but that shouldn't follow you for the rest of your life because you're a dumb idiot kid. And it's like, knock it the fuck off, all right? Like, why are you, using graffiti on someone else's property? You're being an idiot kid at that point. If you say slurs online, oh, knock it the fuck off. Yeah, you're being an idiot online, right? You're saying slurs. You shouldn't do that, but you're a kid, so, what are you gonna do, right? Being a rapist, though, I would say being 17 years old is old enough to know not to violently rape somebody. I think so. I think most 17-year-olds are at the very least properly educated on not being a violent rapist. So I don't care if he was 17 at the time of some of these crimes. He should still be tried as an adult. I don't know what to tell. He knew what he was doing was wrong. He knew he was predatorizing on these girls. I don't care. He should be tried as an adult. Fuck it. I don't care, to be honest with you.
And it came back that they were going to look for youthful offender.
This is one of the very few things where if you're 17, you do something wrong, it should follow you for the rest of your life. This is one of the very few things.
And he accepted a plea deal, which basically had him serve no time. A little bit of community service, was supposed to take some sex offender classes or, some type of therapy, which apparently they couldn't find the exact one that he needed, so they let him...
Well, they gave him a bullshit fucking rehabilitation program, and it was a joke. Nobody actually fucking... everybody realizes that this rehabilitation thing is a joke, and that once he becomes a free man, he has access to more women. He's just gonna rape those women even more, and pray to God that they're not educated, or at least know about all the public coverage about Jesse Butler.
Sub that one with something else, and he got to do kind of therapeutic Lego building and whatnot, supposedly. So it really is kind of asinine. And as of we're recording this, as of midnight, a few hours ago, his record is now completely wiped clean.
Well, because I saw yesterday, and his attorney apparently made statements that when you hear the allegations and I get it, if you're a defense attorney, your job's to defend your client, but at the same time to start saying that he's the victim, that Jesse Mac Butler is the victim.
Oh yeah, no, it's completely fucking asinine. It's entirely crazy to do that. Again, I understand that as a defense attorney, yeah, it's your job to defend your client. I understand that there may be some things you have to do, but to say that your client is the real victim and that the fucking people, the outspoken voices, are ill-intentioned when talking about this is fucking crazy. That's insane. That's actually disgusting, and it's pretty clear that a lot of the people that were involved in this case are okay with rape to some extent.
And
Really is infuriating how, like, truly accepted rape has become nowadays. With Trump in office, Trump is a rapist pedophile. Jesse Butler's family probably voted in the rapist pedophile into office. A lot of organized religion groups, there's no age of consent in the Bible. Some religious figures even justify rape by saying that consent is implied as long as you're married, and they have to submit to you. They have to give themselves up for sex if you're married to them, from a religious standpoint. A lot of the problems in society in general ties back to religion as well. That's another thing. That's a whole other conversation, though. We don't need to get into that conversation. But rape is so fucking accepted. A lot of it is justified by religion. A lot of it is justified because it's inconvenient for your political position, so you refuse to call it out on your own side. I don't know what else to tell you. If you are still a Trump supporter in 2026, you are okay with rape and pedophilia. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm not going to be nice to you if you still support Trump in 2026. I'm not going to be nice to you. You don't deserve my kindness. You don't deserve my respect as a human being. I think you are a disgusting person if you still support Trump in 2026. We're just at that point now where it's indefensible to still support Trump. And to support rape by association. Let's be fucking real.
Read through what he admitted to doing. We're not talking allegedly anymore of this. And then they said they're going to move to expunge his record. How likely is it that that's something that's actually going to happen?
Oh, I think it's 100% going to happen. And let's talk a little bit more about what you just said. So his defense attorney basically spent 10 minutes, including getting apparently teary-eyed emotional, talking about what an amazing client Jesse was and how much grace he showed his accusers. And I saw that when that was sent to me. I'm kind of here with my...
I don't buy that for a fucking second. You're telling me the guy who invades women's boundaries, who doesn't respect women's boundaries and doesn't take no for an answer and is violent, strangles them nearly unconscious, and in some cases even nearly to death. You're telling me that guy shows grace to his victim? Get the fuck out of here. I don't believe that for a second. That is a fucking lie. I don't care what anyone says. That is bullshit.
On the floor, really,
no, I don't believe that for a second. That's bullshit.
How much grace he showed the girls that he raped and strangled to the point that one of them needed surgery. He showed,
No, it's unbelievable. It's fucking unbelievable.
It is mind-boggling the way that they handle this and how his family's been so wonderful to deal with. In the meantime, these girls who he abused, they're going to have to spend the rest of their life with both physical and emotional scars, because the one who had to have her neck repaired from where he strangled her, that scar's still there. It's going to be a reminder every time she looks in the mirror.
Well, and you bring that part up because it's chilling to read. You think of the scars and then you read the statement here. So there's a new DA who seems to be very much, just this year becoming the new district attorney, and really wants to see something done about this case. Unclear what he is going to be able to do now that we're kind of down the road like this. But you have the previous DA, she's retired, Laura Austin Thomas, and she was the one who ended up negotiating this deal, right? And so she puts out a statement in December, and this was after, and you did a lot in making this a national story. Then the body cam video comes out, and people are like, wait a second, this kid is a youthful offender status for this? And I shouldn't say kid because he's 19 years old. He's a grown man. But I just want to read part of the statement, and then we can talk about it. The district attorney's office carefully evaluates every case submitted for prosecution to determine the strengths and weaknesses of the available evidence and potential defenses. The charges in this matter allege conduct by a 16-year-old male directed at similarly aged young women. Most crimes committed by persons under 18 must be filed in juvenile court where proceedings are confidential and have no potential for incarceration in the adult system. A significant number of more serious crimes provide the option of filing as a youthful offender. As a youthful offender, the accused has an opportunity for rehabilitation but can be transitioned to adult status and adult punishment if those efforts fail. A much more limited number of crimes allow the state to file charges in adult court from the beginning. The youthful offender sentence imposed against Jesse Butler requires him to complete his rehabilitation plan successfully.
His rehabilitation plan is a fucking joke. People like Jesse Butler do not change. He was raised to not take no for an answer. You know damn well if he has access to more girls that are unaware of how much of a violent predator he is, he's going to do this again. You know damn well he's going to reoffend. This Jesse Butler is the type of person to reoffend.
Including an aggressive schedule of therapy with a specialist in sex offender treatment, and should he fail, he faces reclassification as an adult.
You know, I'm going to use a comparison. It's like pedophiles. Pedophiles are born with the attraction to children. You can't take that away from them because you're born with it. You grow up and you are sexually attracted to children. Now, there is a difference. I would like to think that there is a difference between a pedophile who is non-offending, who doesn't engage with child porn, doesn't go out to meet up with the children to have sex with them, doesn't do any of that, but is still has the attraction, and there's like some level of shame. At the very least, I could be understanding. Like, there's shame, and I think that they should have access to therapy. I think they should have access to resources to basically do whatever they can to make sure that they will never harm a child, ever. Whether that's taking medication that completely eliminates your sex drive entirely, or if you have access to some kind of rehabilitation program or whatever, you should have resources. Again, the difference between that and a pedophile who attempts to engage with a child sexually, you cross the point of no return at that point. I would say Jesse Butler it's very similar in that case, where Jesse Butler, people like him don't change. He was raised this way, and he is forever going to have this fucking stain on him. And he's also going to continue to rape girls if he can get away with it. And if anything, this case right here proves it. I mean, he got away with it once, so who's to say he can't get away with it again? That's what he's going to think.
And sentence of 10 years in prison. And so this statement was put out in December, and we'll talk. There's another part to this that we'll talk about later. But like, he was really only in this program for about a year, right? So it's like you have this violent crime that he's admitted to.
He's absolutely not going to change whatsoever.
And then, you know, I'm not shortchanging the effectiveness of therapy, but to think like 1 year later, hey, you're good, it seems. And I know he's like under supervision now, but the idea that this is on track potentially to be expunged, it just seems like, I don't know if it's a flaw with the program itself or the people who negotiated the plea, but it's like, how is it if you mess up on this part, you go to prison for a decade, but if you complete it, like going to therapy, then you're good to go. It just seems like it just seems flawed from what I'm reading on the surface here.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of that we can kind of pick apart and discuss. Because I think first, let me go back and say, I think that language is important. And I think every aspect of this, from Laura Austin Thomas to Judge Worthington to...
I feel like language can be important for all the wrong reasons. And a lot of people are going to, in the case of the people legally defending for Jesse Butler, they're going to play semantics about certain things, and they're going to try to poke holes and try to let him get away with this, basically, and say that he was an innocent victim and all that sort of thing.
To basically everybody who was involved in this, wording was chosen deliberately. So, yeah, the girls were, I think, 15, 16 years old when the abuse happened. He was 16, 17 when it happened. And she uses the term young women. These are girls. They're not women. They are girls. They are children. By saying young women, and I think that, you know, this is an issue that becomes normalized too much. By calling them young women, it's like, okay, well, they're adults too, so, you know, this is not as...
Yeah, I get what he's trying to say. It places more agency on them than it should. I don't think that the age gap is the issue. Again, it's like a 2-year age gap at this point. Again, I don't think that's really the factor in this situation. The bigger factor is the fact that Jesse Butler was non-consensually violating their boundaries and giving them lifelong trauma. And that's probably going to be how they view sex for the rest of their life, because they were subjected to a violent rapist. That's the bigger issue at hand here, not the age gap necessarily. But I get what he's trying to say, is that they are, like, saying that they're young women or that they're women places more autonomy over them or more agency over them than you should, even though they were kids at the time. I get what he's trying to say.
You know, it's not as big of a deal. You know, you don't get the outrage when it comes to, you know, adults this happening to versus kids. These are kids.
I don't think that's entirely true, but maybe in today's society and political climate, I suppose that could be true.
That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is, yeah, when you're talking about the sex offender treatment, my understanding was they couldn't find...
Again, I totally get what he's trying to say, though. I don't disagree with, like, his overall message and his overall intention with the case, because obviously he's very well-intentioned and he wants to get Jesse Butler spread the word about how truly dangerous and threat to society Jesse really is.
A therapist that fits specifically in the parameters of what he needed. So they've gone through and adjusted the course of his rehabilitation plan throughout this. But here's something else that's important that I think your audience needs to know. Not only is Jesse somebody who doesn't know what the term no means, and forced himself, threatened, he strangled these girls. And I want you to think about this. First, strangulation is one of those key lethality indicators, right? If somebody strangles you in, intimate partner violence, then there is a 750% increased chance that they are going to kill you. Now, you also have to think about that part of this situation, and this was on Jesse's phone. They have this evidence supposedly on his phone where he strangled her and recorded it. He strangled this girl one time to the point that she passed out, knew right when to stop, woke her up, and then strangled her again so that he could get it on film.
Which is why I also think that the fucking attorney, or that failure defense attorney, saying that Jesse Butler extended so much grace to the victims is so fucking unbelievable, because he was strangling them. It's such an unbelievable bullshit lie that he said. I don't believe it at all.
Get it on camera. So my point to that is you have somebody who's 16, 17, 18 years old that already knows, for lack of a better term, the precision of strangulation, to know right when to stop. To me, that is an indicator of somebody who we are going to see again. And next time, his victim might not be so lucky. And when you don't have somebody in the right course for rehabilitation, then how are you dealing with that? How are you dealing with the fact that you're saying that after him doing this in 1 year, like you said, and not even a year, because it took time to find this person, this therapist, whoever he's going to, or whatever program. So what, 6 months, 8 months, 9 max that he's doing therapy, and now he's all of a sudden cured. He doesn't need to keep doing it. And there's never been accountability on his side. You can tell that from the DA, or not the DA, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, the DAs, the previous ones, and you can tell that from his attorney as well, because there's never been an apology to the victims. The victims have always been treated, dragged through the mud by his family, by the district attorney, by his attorney. So I think what you have here is a situation where you have a young man who has zero accountability for what he did. He's going to go on and do it again. If I was a betting man, I'd put money on it, and I think it's just a matter of when, not if.
And the second paragraph of this statement that the former DA put out just stood out to me, where she writes, "Years of experience tell us that juries often struggle with convicting defendants based upon delayed reports of sexual assault between people in ongoing consensual dating relationships, and the trial process can be very traumatic for families."
And that's the reason why, unfortunately, a lot of women don't go to the legal system at all, because it's such a fucking headache for a lot of these women to deal with. I still think that going to the police is the correct thing to do when you've been sexually assaulted. It is far from perfect. The system absolutely is terrible, but it's still the correct avenue in a lot of cases. Also, if they are truly a rapist, and like Jesse Butler is, you should spread the word about it. Get everybody to know how truly of a horrific threat that he really is. Yeah, he's an awful fucking human being. I don't think that he is a good person by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think anyone in their right mind would think he's a good person at all. And he should have every single opportunity from his life robbed from him. He should be just rotting in his house, is the best thing we can allow to happen from him. Because clearly the legal system's not going to do it. We have to do it ourselves. We have to ostracize him ourselves.
Nonetheless, after consultation with the victims and their families, we chose to file this matter and to file it in adult court rather than juvenile court in order to bring the serious behavior at issue into the public eye, and with hopes of avoiding later reclassification of the case to juvenile status. Like the idea that, because it doesn't seem like, first off, you have a victim's word about what happened, and that's incredibly powerful. And that's, I'm not a lawyer, but I think we see a lot of these cases and the directions that they go. Then to your point, there's forensic evidence here about especially for the girl who was strangled. And then there's video evidence as well, it seems, because he recorded it and admitted to all of this. It just, like, the idea that it's it did this statement comes off as belittling the word of someone saying that they had this done to them, where it's like, well, these consensual relationships, you know how they go. And it just, I don't know how this was received when it was put out in December, but it's kind of interesting to read that. And then kind of hearing what you're saying, it just seems like the old DA's office had a very different tone about this case compared to the new one.
Correct. And I remember when this statement came out because I ripped it apart online, because it's another one of those things, in my opinion, when it came out, was like, let's just try to CYA. I think that this statement was at the time trying to diffuse all the this was going very viral around that time. And I think that they were trying to diffuse that. And I think that all they did was pour fuel on a fire. And I also want to go back and say something too. They didn't discuss this with the victims' families, despite what she says, and it wasn't agreed upon. And something else that I didn't mention earlier, when you're talking about the girl who was strangled, I don't remember if it was 10 seconds or 30 seconds, but the doctor said had he gone like another 10 seconds or 30 seconds, again, it doesn't matter, it's a minuscule amount of time, that she would no longer be here. So yeah, you have the scars, you have a medical professional saying what happened, you have the physical evidence, the forensic evidence. You also had a victim impact statement, which I read from one of the girls, which was incredibly powerful, and they still let this happen. Now, going to your point about the way that this office handled it, at the same time this was going on, there was another attorney, a prosecutor that worked in the office, who had been arrested a couple years prior for possession of CSAM, child sexual abuse material, and that office kept
Oh, that's right. I think that was the other predator that Susan Worthington got off. That I do remember this now. I completely fucking forgot about that. Yeah, somebody at OSU had CSAM material on them, and Susan Worthington fucking just let him get free entirely. They just dismissed the entire thing, and he basically got away with having CSAM of, I believe it was 13-year-olds on his fucking computer. It was insane. It was fucking actually diabolical shit.
Delaying his court date. So what it kind of seems
that too, yeah, they were taking advantage of the legal system to try to filibuster his case. Basically, it's just disgusting.
To me, is that when it came to
really, I don't know. If I was a father, I would not feel safe. Like I would, if I was a parent in Stillwater, Oklahoma, I would not feel safe having my kid go to any of the schools in Stillwater. Absolutely not. Because if not only are they prone to getting predatorized by the system and predatorized by people, but there's no hopes to ever get any sort of justice against any of it, because they're just going to let them get away with it. Because if the perpetrator is well connected into the system, they can just get away with their crimes and they're good to go. That's it. It's truly horrific.
Predators, from what we've seen, and this is even what got the attention of State Representative J.J. Humphrey from Oklahoma, who's also running for, I think, Lieutenant Governor right now, was that there was so much being pushed under the rug and slid around in this particular DA's office that things really just weren't kind of on the up and up. I'm not going to call it corruption straight out, but that was kind of where things started being alluded to. Going to what you were saying about this new DA actually was sworn in this past Friday. And so he inherited this case, and I don't know if this is jumping the gun a little bit, but when Derek Chance, Jesse's attorney, was making all of those statements in court about how wonderful Jesse and his family were, how much grace he showed, Jeremiah Gregory, the new DA, called him on that and said, I'll be issuing a statement. And boy, did he issue a statement. And I'm sure you're going to get to it, but he says, I can't change the terms of what happened here, due to double jeopardy. Our U.S. Constitution protects us from double jeopardy, so he can't really do anything about that. But he said,
it's unfortunate. I mean, I get why double jeopardy is a law that's put into place, but unfortunately, actually bad people and bad actors can take advantage of double jeopardy.
Basically, the federal government is a separate sovereign, and I'll be referring it to the federal government.
Yeah, and it was a scathing.
I mean, it's the best avenue we have for anything to happen. Like, any sort of punishment Jesse can get legally would be a miracle at this rate, because he already got away with the crime. But the best thing we can do as people is just spread the word about Jesse Butler and just make sure that he can never get any opportunities for the rest of his life. Make sure that everybody knows he's a violent rapist. Make sure everybody knows that he should not have any opportunities whatsoever. Make sure as many people know about him as possible, so they know not to let him in their establishments, to let him into wherever the case is. It's just, there's nothing. That's it. We should not allow him anywhere. I would not allow my kid, not just around Jesse Butler, but if I had a kid, I would feel unsafe living in Stillwater, Oklahoma, to be honest with you. I would never want to live there with how truly corrupt it is.
Statement. And also, he kind of talked about where the defense attorney wasn't expected to make the type of statement that he did in court that day for all of this. And I just wonder, I mean, and who knows, it's in the past now, but it's like, if this case didn't get national attention, is that, how this deal kind of went through? And you think of how many deals are out there that don't make it, on your social media or on our YouTube page, where they don't get the attention, and it's something where a DA's office just makes a deal. A place like Stillwater gets a lot of attention because of college football, but also a very small community. Like, how often, had you not brought this forward, and some of the other creators out there that really put a lot of attention on it, is this a case that just goes on and people forget about it? And maybe that's what they thought was going to be the case.
I think that's what they were hoping for, and I think that they weren't.
That probably is the strategy, and I imagine that that's the strategy that Jesse's family is going to take as well, is to probably, the strategy most likely, what they're going to try to do to fight against more and more awareness being brought to Jesse Butler as a person, is they're going to have Jesse lay low. They're going to probably have him not go outside or whatever. They're going to have him lay low, follow whatever they need to follow legally with his bullshit rehabilitation program and everything. They're probably going to just let him do whatever it is that they need to do, let him lay low, stay away from public eye. Eventually it blows over, some other crazy fucking controversy happens, and then they're going to feel gradually over time more comfortable letting Jesse back into society slowly. That's most likely what's going to happen with him, is probably that. Or they could just have him go to a Trump rally or something, and then they won't care. That's probably what's gonna happen, is they could just fucking, I don't know, maybe they'll try to insurrect the government again. Maybe we'll get January 6 2.0, and maybe Jesse Butler will go there, and all the fucking rioters won't care that he fucking is a violent rapist. I don't know.
Anticipating the amount of response, but it is enraging, especially because, you look at, when you look at the statistics, it's for girls who get abused, it's 1 in 4, and then 1 in 8 for boys. And I think that you have a lot of people who look at this and say, what the hell is this? And it's enraging. I don't know how you can hear what happened to these kids and not be just absolutely, filled with anger and disbelief. And I think that that's kind of what happened here. And to your point, and if I may say this, Jesse Butler, there's another person, Camden Dean Dolly, there's another, a few other things that happened, back when this all started going down, that I got so enraged about. I was like, there has to be a change. So I actually started a petition to end these easy plea deals for these people who hurt kids, regardless of their age, whether it's sexual abuse, physical abuse. And if people want to add their signature to it, it's at change.org/end plea deals. Sorry, shameless plug. But I'm trying to get to 500,000 signatures before January. But the point to all of this is that I think a lot of them get brushed under the rug. I think that a lot of them, just go through the system, because the way prosecutors' office, DA's offices look at this, they just want to win. They want to be able to go to their constituents and say, look at what a great job I'm doing. Do you see all of these wins that I have here in this category? And even if the plea deal makes no sense, like in Jesse's case, well, we had this violent offender. We prosecuted him successfully because by him taking that plea deal, that's now a guilty plea. That's we prosecuted this successfully plea. And for them, and that can put that on their record. And that's really what they're going for. They're not going for justice or accountability, in my opinion. They're going for, let's check a box so that we can get reelected or reappointed, because look at how tough I am on crime, even if the punishment doesn't fit the crime.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens next. Certainly with the statement of the new district attorney, the story of Jesse Butler and this deal that went down. It's not over just yet. Justin Shepard, you can.
It feels over. Like at this point, it might, like in my eyes, I don't know. Maybe it just feels over. Honestly, I mean, like I said, everything is in favor of Jesse Butler. Not moral, except the moral part, obviously. Like obviously, he is a fucking rapist. But everything systematically has just been in favor of Jesse Butler. He can rape girls. He got what he wanted out of them. He got away with it. He's obviously going to do it again later once he gets more access to girls. It's inevitable. It's gross. It's just disgusting. It's all of it's so disgusting. It's just this whole situation is so fucked up, man. I am really it fucking angers the fuck out of me that he was able to get away with this.
Find him just in the nick of crime on social media. You do a great job bringing light to a lot of these stories. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Joining us now to talk more about this case is an attorney for one of the victims, Rachel Bussett. Thank you for taking the time to be with us here on Law and Crime. You were at this hearing yesterday. Walk us through, because cameras weren't allowed inside, of just what were the moments that stood out to you?
Sure. So the first thing was the court asked for a report from OJA, the Oklahoma Juvenile Authority, about Butler's progress through his probation. They gave a report that...
Jesus Christ, this woman has a terrible mic. Obviously, that's not the intention, but it's like, I could just hear the mic popping. It's fucking piercing my ears.
In their opinion, he had completed everything without any violations. There was a question about the number of treatment sessions he had completed. There was a statement made about 16 out of 52.
Who fucking care? I don't care about his bullshit rehabilitation program. Like, all the fucking... And I'm not blaming this Rachel person, by the way. But, like, who fucking cares that he has a fucking rehabilitation program? Honestly, like, it's not gonna fucking matter. It's gonna have little to no effect on him. I guarantee it. It's gonna have little to no effect on this fucking guy.
It was unclear to me if it was 16 he had completed since the last check-in, or
who fucking cares?
16 total.
Who fucking again, who cares?
But there was that discussion. Then the court offered everybody the opportunity to weigh in about whether or not there were any violations. After that was done, the court then went to the district attorney.
I can't stand how horrible her microphone is. Unfortunately, we're just going to have to endure it and try to listen to what she's saying, but still, her internet. I don't even think it's her microphone. I think it's her internet. Her internet's just god-awful.
About whether or not they were seeking a bridging motion in order to take him into an adult sentence. The DA talked about that statute, and then the court allowed each party to make remarks. And so from the DA, it went to the defense counsel, then the newly elected district attorney made some comments, and then I was allowed to make a comment, and then the court gave its ruling.
What did you say to the court?
Well, Chris, I really wasn't expecting to get an opportunity to speak. I don't know if you've heard, the defense counsel made some pretty surprising remarks about the alleged innocence and victimhood of his own client, which really threw everyone off. And then the newly elected district attorney made some remarks. So I was kind of at the end and a little bit caught off guard. But really what I talked about was that, my clients and I respected the role that each party has in the process, and whether or not we liked the outcome, we understood the process. I talked about some very important statistics about intimate partner violence and strangulation that I think are significant and have gotten lost along the way. We talked about the fact... Which
is also why I don't think his rehabilitation program is going to have any sort of effect on him whatsoever. That's part of the reason why. Because he intentionally tried to predatorize these girls with intention. Again, the strangulation... Like, it's like the cherry on top that confirms that he intentionally tried to rape and predatorize these girls.
In my opinion, and I believe under the law, no matter what Mr. Butler or his counselor say, you cannot consent to strangulation, period, at the end. And that,
Well, I guess that doesn't fucking matter because they just let him get away scot-free legally.
So if you're a victim of intimate partner violence that involves non-fatal strangulation, you're 750% more likely to be murdered in the future by that partner, and that those perpetrators who commit...
Yeah, I mean, let's be fucking real. If Jesse Butler didn't have the legal system, or if there wasn't any sort of intervention, if the girls never actually went to the police, and the scary part is a lot of women do not go to police in cases like this, I actually think Jesse would have murdered some of these girls. To be honest, I wholeheartedly mean that. I think that he would have fucking murdered. Like, if it really... thank God it never steamrolled to that point, because they actually had the bravery to go to the police about it. But if they never went to the police, and again, a lot of women don't go to the police, he would have fucking murdered them. I think he would have actually... Like, it would have steamrolled into him violently murdering them, eventually.
Non-fatal strangulation are more likely to murder somebody. And that, I know that statistic, and as a result, no matter what happens going forward, we will be watching, and if and when this happens again, because statistics tell us it will, we will be there to talk about it and have our voices heard, because this isn't going to happen again to somebody.
And I mean, you're in the room with Jesse Butler as you're saying this. Like, do you believe that he was listening to what you had to say?
No.
What was it, just because we don't have cameras in the courtroom, like, what about kind of the way he acted made you feel that way?
There was really no looking at anybody. There was no, people who feel remorse or shame over what's happened, look down, look away, that sort of thing. There was very much a head held high, and the demeanor of an attorney feeling like that they could go in and say the things that needed to be said with the deal that their client got. And all of the things that have happened, in my mind, there was a lot of arrogance and the lack of taking responsibility, as evidenced by the statements made by counsel.
To nobody's fucking surprise, wow, Jesse Butler and anybody in Jesse Butler's orbit and anybody that was supporting Jesse Butler is not taking any accountability. To nobody's fucking surprise. Wow.
You don't go in and do that without talking about what's going to happen. And you have to feel that you have permission to say, I think, and do certain things like that in court. And that attorney felt like, whether it was because of his relationship with the past district attorney or whatever, that he had permission to get up and say and do the things that he did.
And moving forward, I mean, how has kind of where we are at this point, like, how's your client feeling about everything at this time? I mean, she has been through so much, and Jesse Butler's now at this point where I know he's under supervision to an extent, but like, there's the possibility.
Doesn't matter. Like, again, that supervision is going to fade over time, and then he's going to do it again. It's like, again, the fact that he's under supervision now hardly makes a difference for the long term. Again, the reason why I say a lot of this doesn't matter is because I'm thinking of the long term game here. I'm thinking of the long term overall impact that this is going to have, and he's gonna inevitably fucking he's just gonna do this again. It's frustrating. It is actually infuriating that the long-term impact is gonna affect the women, and more women as well, inevitably, and affect Jesse Butler basically not at all. And it really is up to us to basically just spread the word on it, to make sure that everybody stays away from him. That's really all we can do.
He could have his record expunged.
I anticipate he will have his record expunged, though we will fight that in every way that the law allows us to fight it, and keep this out there. The nice thing about the internet is it is forever, and so these girls will keep talking about it. We're moving into the next stage of the litigation. The other victims' counsel filed their civil rights lawsuit last December. That's pending on a motion to dismiss. We have some deadlines that I think expire on Monday as it relates to our tort claim. So if a resolution isn't reached between...
All these headaches just to fight against a fucking rapist, dude.
Now, and
it's no wonder women don't fucking come forward about some of their sexual assaults. Like, seeing all the fucking headaches that they have to go through, reliving their trauma over and over again. It's no wonder, man.
Monday, we will be filing suit to move forward against the school, the city of Stillwater, and the Butler family. And so we'll be seeking civil justice where a criminal didn't give us relief.
What in a perfect world for you now, and I know like perfect world's a tough term to use, all considering everything that's gone down, but like from a civil side, what are you going for? Like, what does justice look like with the situation you're in now?
I think justice looks a lot of different ways. Obviously, we can't undo what's happened to them. these girls want to see change in the school and how things were handled. There's just an absolute denial that they did anything wrong at the school, and that's just not true. It was not investigated ever. It certainly wasn't treated as if Title IX applied. They thought that because that this happened off campus, that they had no responsibility. But the fact of the matter is nobody ever asked whether anything happened on campus, and it did, and the school didn't investigate. There are so many different failings. So it's policy changes, it's implementation, it's coming forth and talking about it. And
all of it's connected.
Apology.
To somebody who's watching this and may not even understand, like, or who didn't even watch my previous 3 videos, which is understandable if you didn't. Again, like, getting caught up on the Jesse Butler case is not only a very heavy topic, but in general, this is, it's very long as well, and I know a lot of people have other things to do with their day, so I totally get if somebody's watching this and hasn't watched any of the previous context, but it's all connected. All the infrastructures, all the rich people, all the rich families that are connected with the pieces of infrastructure, whether it's the judge, the legal system, and everything, all the connections they have are able to get this basically swept under the rug as fast as they can. To be like, oh yeah, no, Jesse Butler's good. He's totally fine. He didn't do anything wrong. We can get them all dismissed.
Would go a long, long way. And obviously there's going to have to be some form of civil damage.
There are bigger forces at play here, is what I've been saying throughout this entire situation of Jesse Butler. There are much bigger forces at play with him.
Damages that are paid, and what that looked like, I think, varies depending on which side of the situation that you're in. But it's my experience that the school thinks that they did nothing wrong and they owe nothing.
In the newly sworn-in district attorney, I saw that he made a statement where he's going to continue to look into this. He made a mention of potentially seeing if the federal government could file charges. I mean, what are your expectations there about whether that could actually happen?
I understand that that's a long shot, but I've always thought, based on what I know, that phone has CSAM material on it. And why the prior district attorney didn't pursue that, I don't know, but that is something that I know that the federal government takes very serious, and I hope that they will go in there. And look, my client has revealed that we believe that there are photographs of other young women on that phone, and if there are other women in Stillwater, young girls or young women that were under the age of 18 that believe that this man might have had photographs of them, whether they sent it or otherwise, on his phone, I would encourage them to come forward and talk to the authorities. And, you know, if somebody showed photos of my client to them, if Mr. Butler showed photos of my clients, I would ask those individuals who were shown to come forward to talk about it, because that wasn't consensual and it's not appropriate, and we need to get to the bottom of it. I really hope that the feds will look into it, and if there's something there, pursue it.
And in December, the previous district attorney, where this plea deal was brokered, that allowed him to have youthful offender status, she put out a statement saying that part of the reason it went in this direction was because she spoke with victims' family members about, you know, it makes it seem like it was kind of this collaborative effort in a decision going forward. From your perspective, what was the communication like with the previous DA leading into the decision for the case to go in this direction?
Well, there were lots of discussions or meetings. I don't think that there was an actual true communication, and I think that they were told one thing when something else was happening in the background, because my clients have maintained that all the way up until the time that they were walking into the courtroom, they believed that there was going to be a guilty plea or the possibility of a guilty plea. And here's the thing. There are tape recordings of that former district attorney having a conversation with the other family member wherein it is stated that she was going to continue working on getting a guilty plea, and that this no contest plea wasn't set in stone, that weren't allowed to come in. And I understand and respect the judge's ruling, whether I agree with it or not. I understand why he made that ruling. But the fact of the matter is my clients did not know up until they walked into that courtroom that day that there was going to be a no contest ruling or no contest plea. But everything that I am learning as we're going through this is it was always the intent of the former district attorney, at least Miss Laura Austin Thomas that this was going to be a no contest plea, and that was not communicated to my clients. My clients believed it was going to be guilty, as did the other victim.
Why was that the plan for the former DA to take this case in that direction?
Well, I think that's the million-dollar question. Why is that? I don't know.
And then just lastly, for people who have maybe seen this story, maybe this is the first time that they're kind of digesting everything that's happened over the past several months. And I know that there's only so much you can share, but how has what happened to your client and everything that's gone on up until yesterday?
I think it's just so demoralizing. I don't know. I'm just listening to all of this. It's just so demoralizing knowing that Jesse Butler being let go back into society is inevitable. All right, we got to do everything we can to prevent that, but it sometimes just feels like, what if we're just fighting, like, what's inevitable? Like, what's inevitable is Jesse Butler's going to get back into society. I mean, we have to do everything we can to fight it. Of course, we still have to try, and I'm not saying we shouldn't try, but it just feels like an inevitable fucking doom, you know, of, like, Stillwater, that a violent predator gets away, because we know that the fucking violent pedophile has gotten away with it, with having CSAM material on at OSU that Susan Worthington just let go. Who's next, right? Again, this sets a standard that being a predator in Stillwater, Oklahoma is acceptable at this point. You can be a predator and you'll be okay in Stillwater, Oklahoma. That's what this communicates to any person that is looking to predatorize women and little children as well.
Had an impact on her life.
I mean, it's completely changed the course and direction of her life. The sexual assaults aside, she did the thing that we tell young men, young women, adults everywhere. When this happens to you, you come forward and you tell us, and you'll be protected. And unfortunately, that's not what happened. She was put back one day later with her assailant in the classroom. She had to go to school with him for 2 weeks with absolutely no protection. Then the only protection that was done was to take him out of the classroom. There was nothing put in place about passing in the hallways, not encountering him in extracurricular activities, all that. She lost her high school experience from September 12th, 2024 forward. She didn't get to walk across the stage. She didn't get to go to junior prom. She didn't get to go to senior prom. She didn't get to participate in all of these extracurricular activities. So the assaults aside, which completely changed her life, and really soured her on romantic relationships, the institutional betrayal of trust by the school and the police department for how this was handled is just immeasurable, and it's the opposite of everything that it's supposed to be when you go forward to a trusted institution and say, I've been hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it's inevitable under Trump. Like I said, I mean, is it a coincidence that this all happened under Donald J. Trump? Is it a coincidence? No, absolutely not. I mean, let's look back, right? Let's look back at everything that happened under Trump. I mean, Trump was trying to lift Andrew Tate's travel ban, sex trafficking rapist, grooming rapist as well, by the way. Tried to pardon P. Diddy. He pardoned a bunch of people in the January 6th riots who had child porn charges on them. He withdrew 33 to 35% of resources on ICE for predator sting operations and predator investigations. He withdrew 33 to 35% of resources that go into them, which is very fascinating. Tons of Republican politicians have been outed for being predators. And Donald Trump himself is in the Epstein list as well. He's a fucking rapist pedophile. And he also lost the civil case against E. Jean Carroll, and the courts denied the appeal from him. So he is indisputably a fucking rapist. Like, we know this. And also bragging about peeking in on underage girls' beauty pageants back in the day. Like, under Donald Trump, are we really surprised that this corruption, nothing has been done about this corruption ring? Are we really surprised?
Rachel Bussett, attorney for one of the victims in the case of Jesse Mack Butler, thank you for taking the time to be with us here on Law and Crime. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it too.
That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify, and we're also streaming on Peacock. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, I mean, I expected this to be a darker topic and to end on a darker note, but, truly horrific stuff, man. I fucking have lost so much faith in our legal system because of shit like this. But hopefully there's something I can do about it. And with the very, very, even if my platform's very small, maybe there's very little I can do with it to spread the word about this. That's really all we can do, is just spread the word about Jesse Butler being a horrific piece of shit.